Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our event dedicated to highlighting and celebrating female entrepreneurs. As you know, we celebrated International Women's Day on the 8th of March. So today, I'm really excited to host this event during which we will be talking about how our panelists have come to start their business, the challenges they have faced, and their top tips for women wanting to start their business. So Lorraine, Kimberley, Camille, Michelle, thank you so much for being here today. I'll give them the floor so they can introduce themselves in a minute. But before we start, I wanted to give you a quick tour of Zoom for those of you who haven't used it before. So depending on how you're watching us, there is a toolbar at the top or the bottom where you'll see a chat room and a Q&A room. You'll have the opportunity to ask all your questions to our wonderful speakers at the end of this event, as we'll be doing a Q&A just after our fireside chat. So please use it to ask all your questions you may have for them. If there are any comments you'd like to make, please put those in the chat room. And before we start, I'd love to get to know the audience a bit better. So I am going to share a poll with you right now. There we go. I've launched a poll. So if you could please, just pop your answers there. That'd be wonderful. And I'll share other polls as well as we go. So fantastic. So what I ask in the poll is to all the women with us today: are you a business owner currently launching a business or thinking about launching a business? 61% of you are business owners, 24% of you are currently launching a business, and 18 are thinking about launching a business. That's fantastic. Well, the numbers are going up. Fantastic. Please do keep on answering that. Yeah, there is a good number of you watching us. So let's start this. My name is Valentina Hutchings, and I'm part of the team here at Tide. And for those of you who are new to Tide and what we do, I just wanted to give you a quick overview of our service before we start. So we are the fastest growing online business current account provider in the UK, and we currently have over 300,000 members. Our aim is to provide our members, or small business owners members, a service that saves them both time and money when it comes to their business banking. So the sign-up process is really quick and easy. It takes between 5 and 10 minutes, and you will then receive your sort code and account number with your card coming a few days later in the post. The app itself is really easy to set up and use, and we have a huge amount of in-app products that will make your banking life a lot easier. You can see some on the presentation right now. They include the auto categorization tool. It categorizes all your transactions for you, or invoice feature that allows you to create, customize, and send professional invoices from the app, and many other features. So one thing I also wanted to mention today is that we also have some fantastic membership plans to help our members even further with their businesses, and that includes Tide Plus. So this membership is one of the most popular upgrade choice for growing businesses when you are ready to grow your team. So Plus includes 20 free transfers a month, a legal helpline, and our friendly team is on hand to help on the phone. So yeah, I'll talk to you a bit later on about how to make sure you stay up to date with what we do at Tide, all our latest features and plans, and also, our upcoming events. And I will also, talk after that. Just before the Q&A, we will announce the winner from our cash prize draw for those of you who have ordered a team card. So please make sure you stay along for that as well. But for now, let's start the event. I will, for that, stop sharing my screen. So we are back with our panelists. Just before our wonderful panelists introduce themselves and tell us about their businesses, I wanted to mention how Tide supports women in business. So we've made the commitment to support women in the UK in starting and running their own businesses. And we set ourselves the target of helping more than 100,000 women to start their businesses by the end of 2023. So this stands in response to Alison Rose's review of female entrepreneurship, which I'll mention later on during the event, giving some key findings and figures as we go along. It's incredibly important to us to support women in business and their journey, and we are very proud to support the F Entrepreneur campaign. So Michelle, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit more about F Entrepreneur?
Yes, hello. Thank you for inviting me today. It's lovely to be here with these fantastic entrepreneurs. Yes, my name is Michelle Ovens and I am a founder of Small Business Britain, and we champion small businesses. I think of ourselves as cheerleaders, actually, because we are not only telling other people how amazing small businesses are, we are telling them how amazing they are too. And part of Small Business Britain, we run a number of campaigns, big campaigns, Small Business Saturday, the Small Awards, and really close to our heart, and it's important for today, it's the F Entrepreneur campaign. Now, we launched this 4 years ago, and I remember it was 4 years because it was just after Donald Trump was elected. There were quite a few women's marches around the world, you may remember, a bit of a thing. And we'd just come off a big Small Business Saturday campaign. I'd been asked so many times by the media, where are all the female entrepreneurs? What can we do to encourage female entrepreneurs? And I was like, they're everywhere. They're amazing. I know all these amazing women doing amazing things. What do you mean? Where are they? And one of the things that became clear that there just wasn't enough visibility. We weren't talking about it enough. We needed to raise the conversation. And that's why F Entrepreneur started. It is about championing and cheerleading and shouting and supporting each other and telling stories and inspiring each other and moving each other on. And really a big part of that is something we call our I Also campaign. And this came out of International Women's Day event, actually. And one of the things you'll find, and I know you're going to hear from amazing entrepreneurs who are on the panel today, is they're not just doing one thing. They will talk about their business. And I also mentor. I also lecture at my local university. I also am writing a book. I've also developed this intellectual property. I also am caring for children or a relative or actually someone with cancer. Cancer is such a major part that comes up a lot. For everyone, 50% of the population are going to get cancer at some point in their life. So it's, huge issue. We are not leading simple lives. We are not having the portfolio career. It feels like a really old-fashioned thing to say. We have these incredible, rich, growing, engaging, productive, exciting lives and careers. And we want to celebrate that, encourage that, and help women to do it more. And we're really excited. Tide has been supporting us for a couple of years now, actually, to help us achieve those goals.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Michelle. And we are now going to ask all our panelists to introduce themselves and introduce how they started the business. So let's start with you, Michelle. How did it all started?
How did it all start? Oh, way back in the day. So 8 years ago, actually, I was running a small business. I was a consultant. I think I am in my heart a consultant. I'm a bit of an analyst. It's too much PowerPoint and graphs and Gantt charts and things. It's helpful though when you're running campaigns, let me tell you. So 8 years ago, started Small Business Saturday in the UK, and it lit a fire, really. It very much lit a fire. And we started this campaign very much from the grassroots, gathering lots of people together. Can we create something that really celebrates small businesses? And it just captured the imagination of the British public in a way that we never could have expected. It just kind of went huge. This was supposed to be a kind of a, 1 day a week, kind of part-time, no, it just took over everything. And I think what we know talking to businesses, often they come from a passion, and this was absolutely a passion that just grew into a business. It took us a while to make it into a business, but it very much grew into a business, working, and really that energy came from working with the most amazing small businesses around the country, who shared that enthusiasm, and the general public shared that enthusiasm. We started to work with government, we started to work with local government. Over 90% of local councils now support the work that we do. It's just incredible. And it's not because we're special, although obviously we are special. It's because there's something really cool. There's something really that speaks to people about communities, about the nature of small business and entrepreneurship, that courage to make your own thing happen. That I think also we've really seen in the last year of COVID, that return to local, that appreciation for the process of being a small business, like what you have to do to keep going, and the role that that plays in people's lives. You know, as we have had to isolate and stay at home more, we've had to tap into our local networks more, whether that's about support or literally bread and water. You know, we've become more local, and I think that's grown in appreciation. I think that's exciting. I think that's going to continue after COVID too. So that's where we came from all like 8 years ago, and constantly changing, constantly growing.
But I absolutely love that it's always led by passion, right? And,
yes.
and I think that's a wonderful introduction to our other panelists, who are all part of the Ielsa Campaign's Untitled members. So I'll give them the floor to introduce themselves and their business as well. Kimberley, can you please introduce yourself?
Hey everyone. So my name's Kimberley and I'm the founder at Bamboo Club. I'm going to take you back to my university days. So post-university, I guess I did the classic risk-averse route. I moved to London. I started on a grad scheme in a big corporation. I guess I made the mother proud in the process, and it was all in hopes of climbing the corporate ladder and potentially making it to director before I was 30. But I guess when it actually came about, the reality sank in, and it's not all it's made out to be. In a big corporation, there's a lot of red tape and there's not much room to be creative either. So post that, I guess my first flavor for the startup world and entrepreneurship really came about when I started working at Deliveroo in their very early days. So this was about 5 years ago now, and not many people had heard of them. And working in the fast-paced environment with the growth that they had, I guess really sparked my interest for starting my own business. So I actually worked there with my best friend, who's now my co-founder. She's called Maggie. I believe she's on this call. So, hey, wherever you are. But we got into a routine where every Wednesday evening I'd go around to her house. We'd have dinner, we'd drink wine. Top tip, wine really helps with brainstorming. But we'd brainstorm different business ideas and different things that we'd read on the internet. And we really both wanted to start our own business. One thing we were really aligned on with starting our own business was we wanted to help the planet and help save the environment. And we also wanted to help make sustainable choices convenient for consumers. So loads of consumers want to become more eco-friendly, but we kind of, as suppliers, need to make it more convenient for them to do so. So make it more accessible for them. So on a drunk Wednesday night, Bamboo Club was born. So we are a toothbrush subscription company. We've got adult brushes, which we call Bamboo Club, and then kids brushes, which we call Bambino Club. And they are delivered through your letterbox every 8 weeks, making it as convenient as possible for you. We also supply our products to Ocado and other small retailers around the UK. And we have some exciting new plans as well to offer some new products by the end of the year.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Kimberley. I've also shared in the chat room the link to your website and Instagram account, and I will do the same in a second for Camille. Camille, can you please introduce yourself?
So my background is quite similar to Kimberley's. I kind of left university, stumbled into a job which was incredibly well paid, and then carried on down the career ladder of working for different agencies and getting quite high up within the chain and quite well paid. On where it falls different is in 2014. I was a mum, and I still am a mum. My daughter got very sick, like really sick, like prepare for the worst sick conversations with doctors and pediatric intensive care, and it was the whole world is flipped upside down. When she got better, she's totally fine now. You would have no idea she was ever sick. But what happened after she got ill was the fact that I spiraled into a very dark place with my mental health, and I was diagnosed with PTSD, anxiety and depression, and I was about as far rock bottom as you can get coming out of it the other end, so it was pretty bad. And conventional route of recovery is talking therapies, antidepressants, which is now the #1 go-to option. And in August, 6 million doses of antidepressants were issued during a COVID time, which is not the route that I wanted to go down. Or the incredible great solution of waiting is the other solution. It was a family member suggested I go and have a float because I was in such a bad way. Now, I'd never had a float before, never done anything complementary before, and certainly never looked after myself before. So I went to this random place and had this experience called a float. Hated it. It was the worst experience of my life. I was then told to go back to a different place because it wasn't necessarily the experience, it was the place that was the problem. During my second float, I was like, oh, do you know what, there's something in this. I then went back 2 days later, and during my third float, I rang my now business partner, aka my dad, and said, do you know, all this stuff that's gone wrong with my life, a big part of the mental clarity you get from floating is understanding that the intense stress that I've been under in this corporate world was the biggest problem. And in order to get my head straight, I needed to leave that environment. And in order to do that, I wanted to open a float centre and show the people of Brighton and Hove what I had found. Because if I was stressed, I was probably the stereotypical categorically stressed out business person working for someone else, and I could do it better. My background was marketing, luckily. So in 2014, I decided to take this big step and open my own business. And we opened our doors in February 2015, and my world changed. And I now offer a whole holistic approach to wellness. We deal with lots of people with complex mental health needs. We deal with lots of people in pain, helping people improve their athletic performance due to the wide variety of services that we now offer. I also do lots of other things, but apart from that, the main one, the float spa, is definitely the main part of my business. The reason I do the I also is I've got lots of other arms, which we'll be talking about in a bit.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Camille. And I've shared the Float Spa website and your website as well in the chat room. Lorraine, hi. Can you please introduce yourself to your viewers today?
Yeah, so good morning, everybody. It's really a pleasure to be here. I'm Lorraine Thomas. I'm a property mentor, developer, investor, and a landlord, all with a social purpose. And I say that because we rent to young adults that are vulnerable. Young people have such a hard time on every level, and particularly now. And we also rent to normal people, the group I call other, who are disadvantaged and perhaps don't tick all the rental boxes for landlords, don't pass all the right credit checks and all of that stuff that goes on. They're just barely surviving. So we try to help them, to give them a step up. So how did I start my business? I actually didn't know I was going to start it. I used to work in marketing and business development for law firms in the city. I did that for a number of years. My dad became ill. I gave up my job to care for him. I was earning shed loads, just like Camille, in the city. Thought, why would I ever do this? But there came this need to just give up my work, care for my dad on £62.50 a week. I did not know how I was going to cope. I, like all of you on this call, you know, I had commitments. How was I going to do that? Plus 2 kids who were very needy. But I did. There was a voice in my head that said, don't worry, I'll look after you. I followed that voice and cared for Dad. Months on, it was very, very stressful. Hats off to all carers, by the way. It was extremely stressful. I was getting no sleep at all. This went on for months. And then, ping, this email came into my inbox from somebody I knew from church, and she was a friend, and I didn't know her that well. I just kind of knew her in passing, but she dropped this email saying, would you like to find accommodation for young adults that are looked after by the borough? And obviously that wasn't, well, I thought it wasn't my skill set. I responded to it. The email actually wasn't meant for me. It was meant for another Lorraine, but I was responding to it going, yes, that would be lovely. Anything to get me away from this caring role. And I responded to it, roll on months, and we realised it wasn't for me. now Dolores and I are business partners, and she's a real good sort of supporter and confidant of everything else that goes on in my life. So the story goes that I went off. I was really quite good at selling into landlords for them to give me, rent me their apartments, but it just wasn't good enough. They were making us jump through hoops. The accommodation was just poor. And I just felt, because these people are disadvantaged, that's no reason to shove them into places that are just okay. And so Dolores and I went off to auction. We thought we could do it better. We made every mistake under the sun. We got everything wrong. And through that, those failures fueled us even more to do better. Roll on a few more months, and my business now, I give back by mentoring those that want to own their own business. And so I handhold people through that process. I believe that everybody should have the opportunity to own their own business. And secondly, I'm creating a movement of shifting away from those landlords who are just about profit to landlords that actually care and want to make a difference. And that's the movement I'm creating. I could go on, but that's it for now.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Lorraine. We actually just had a comment on the chat room from Adeline saying, OMG, these women are amazing. And I absolutely agree. Thank you again so much for being here and sharing your entrepreneurial journey. It's absolutely fantastic to have you. So I mentioned at the beginning of this event, the Alison Rose's review, and one of the key figures found is that only 32% of UK entrepreneurs are women. So I'd like to kick off a conversation by asking a panel the challenges they have faced. Starting with you, Lorraine, can you share some of the challenges at the beginning?
So this is the fireside chat, right? So I can use that F word, because all of the challenges begin with F. Because finance, I was really, where was I going? Who was going to lend to me? I just, I'd come from, just struggling. Also, friends. My friends weren't in that sphere, so how could they help me? And also the embarrassment if things went wrong, the challenge of kind of going, well, I didn't quite make it. Then you've got so the funding, that I was feeling fragile, the failure, all of these F words were massive challenges. But the biggest of all was actually the fear of not looking good. And that's what stops people from putting their hand up in the classroom. It still continues. And so that was one of them. The other, of course, was, what if I was a success? The fear of success was actually quite massive, because if I did make it work, and that little voice in my head that carries me, if I made it work, how would I get the support? How would I do all the stuff around me? I'm just a little person. And if it was successful, I would fail, because I suffer with imposter syndrome. They're going to find me out any minute now. I'm not good enough. So all of that going on in the back of my head, together with how was I going to connect with and get the support to keep myself up there? Because the fall from grace is huge. So it's almost better that you're a failure from down there rather than become a success and then become a failure, right? So that fear of, doing well was big. But the greatest challenge of all was that little word, no. Because when somebody says no to me, I go to like another planet. And I have this conversation with myself on the planet. Did they actually say no to me? Yeah, they did say no to me. But no doesn't mean no, it just means no, not at this time. No, but they did say no. So that means you're a failure. No, yeah, they said no to you. And I have this conversation, and it goes round and round and round. And I give you an example of that no, and me, and what I do with it now. And I recognize it now, what I do when I go to that no place is I use it. It then means I'm unstoppable. So when we found the land and we were going to do our first build ground up project, I remember ringing the agent and the agent saying to me, have you ever developed before? And I went, well, no, done a few, gone to auction, done a few sort of flips, and I've done a few refurbishment, but never developed ground up. And he said, well, this isn't for you. And then I heard no. So obviously I'm off to that planet place that I go to. And as soon as he said, no, this is for seasoned developers, I then said, well, what would it take? He said, well, you're already out of the game because we've had several offers. They're all at 450,000. I didn't have £4.50 at the time, but I thought, I know that we can build there. I know that we can create something. And it was that drive in the back of my head. And he kept saying to me, well, we've had these offers in, they're conditional. And I didn't even know what conditional meant. Conditional now I know means conditional upon planning, then they will place the offer in. So I went in there and said, right, then I had a word with Dolores, we're business partners by now, and I said, should we go for it? She went, okay. So we went in, we offered 480k unconditional. What were we doing? But that little voice in my head, Lorraine, you're enough. You can do this, I'll look after you. So the offer was accepted. And that's what I mean. That's a whole nother story. But the point is, the challenge, the thing about no is that use the no to make the no drive you to the yes. And so we got it and everything flowed into place. That's it, really.
It's about daring, right? It's about going for it.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's the daring, it's the go, not letting the no stop you. That's the greatest challenge amongst all the other F's that I talked about. But yeah, fear of no.
Thank you so much, Lorraine. I'm sure this is going to resonate with our audience, and I actually can see some questions coming in the Q&A. So please do start asking your question as we go along. Kimberley, you also wanted to contribute to this point.
Yeah, so I guess I've also had a blocker where I've got into my own head and almost said no on behalf of my mind. So, and I guess I've applied this now to running a business, but I was headhunted ages ago by a CEO of a company. The CEO obviously wanted me to go for the role, otherwise he wouldn't have reached out. And he thought I was capable of it. But I remember receiving the job description and going through it and looking at all of the things, thinking, golly gosh, I can't do that, or, oh, I've not had experience in that, or I don't tick that box either. And I was with a friend at the time, and I remember saying to me, if you were a male in this position, do you think that he would be thinking in the way that you are? And I guess that really stuck with me. And there's been loads of studies done on this where men can tick 2 out of 10 things and they feel worthy enough to proceed, whereas a woman needs to tick all 10 of those and above in order to feel worthy to proceed. And I think the biggest takeaway from this is you can't be afraid of the unknown. So try and take any opportunity that comes your way, and honestly, everything else will just figure itself out. And I think this is really important as a business owner, because every day you face unknowns. And I think we as women doubt ourselves. But the women here today and all their amazing stories that they're sharing just show how capable we are, and everyone should back themselves.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, both. I really resonate with me, and I can see Adeline saying, I can so relate, Lorraine, as well. I think it really resonates with our audience about, having this little voice in your head, but going for it and finding the confidence. So thank you for sharing your journeys and the challenges you faced when starting the business. I wanted to come back to the Ielsa campaigns, which you are all members of, and Michelle, you've mentioned it as well. But I was on the F Entrepreneur website, and there is a description of why it's called the Ielsa campaign. So I just wanted to read that. It was born from a breakfast F Entrepreneur hosted on International Women's Day in 2018 for people working in the world of empowering female entrepreneurs. When going around the table introducing themselves, the words that were heard the most were "I also." So I think this is fantastic. There is so many hats that female entrepreneurs are wearing. It does spark a question though, which is there such a thing as work-life balance? And Camille, if you could please start answering this one.
Of course. So obviously, with the nature of everything that I do, I have been that burnt out, so stressed, ill, because my burnout and my stress, it didn't cause my daughter's illness, but it certainly caused mine. Because if we don't look after yourself first, how on earth can you help others? So my favorite analogy for this is when you're on a plane, and obviously when we can fly again, but remember, you must have been on a plane at some point. And they always tell you the safety description. And they say, when the oxygen mask falls down, put your own mask on first before helping others. And I want you to think about that, just really think about what that means. So in a life-saving situation, they're still telling you not to save others, because if you can help yourself first, then you can help others. So if you don't look after yourself, then you can't operate to their full potential. So I am a business owner. I also am a trustee of a charity. I also have 2 young children, ages 4 and 7, and my 4-year-old was born during my business being open, so during the float spell being open. I've also trained as a cognitive behavioral therapist. I'm a meditation teacher that runs meditation classes every day. I'm also trained with world-leading behavioral scientists, as well as becoming a water chemist and everything in order to make my business perform better. I am incredibly fulfilled in my life, and I work very productively. I do not hide behind the word busy, because what does busy even mean? I am that person that looks at incorporating. So a big part of behavioral change and behavioral science, understanding behaviors, is understanding why you do something in a way. So as women, when they juggle everything, we juggle so many things, and that is just the norm. We are the multitaskers that task 15 things at the same time, and we just function like that, and that's okay. But actually, what is important, even whether you're building a business, it's still important to take time out for yourself. I've just seen that pop up. It is important. So I put into my diary rest. I put in break days, break times. I put in walks. I put in coffee breaks. I put in things like that into my diary. Let me challenge you on the way of thinking about creating good habits in your workplace. So a big part of what I do in my personal coaching is helping people to understand how creating good habits is not like creating a fitness regime. So most of the time when we think about doing fitness, for example, people think that you've got to go for an hour run, or you've got to do a 1 hour workout, or you've got to go to the gym for an hour. But if we incorporate a fitness element into your daily life, it could be when the kettle boils, I might do 5 squats, or after I go to the toilet, I might do 2 push-ups. In your day, you are incorporating good, healthy fitness habits into your daytime. It can be the same with like breath work and meditation. So a big part of what I suggest clients do, so after this call, before I do my next one, which is pretty soon after, I will just take 3 deep breaths to help my mind reset from this active, super alpha state of brainwave. We're really active, we're really engaged, we're really chatting, we're thinking of ideas. I'll then reset my parasympathetic by taking 3 deep breaths. That little small reset, which takes probably 30 seconds, is enough to create a little bit of balance before I get onto my next task. It makes you 10 times, 100 times more productive by creating these micro practices into your daily routine that mean that you're looking after yourself. Putting your phone into airplane mode at 9 o'clock is the easiest thing to do. Getting an old style alarm clock. Don't have a TV in your bedroom. All these things people tell you to do, but actually they are so good for your health. Also, it makes you a better parent, makes you a better boss, it makes you a better business owner by creating these little downtimes that are micro into your day that result in such a huge impact.
I absolutely love this. And I think the micro habits, it's about breaking it down, right? Rather than looking at the whole mountain, it's about the steps and making sure you can include it in your busy schedule. So hopefully the audience will take that on as well, because I could see a comment from Lavina, work-life balance, what is that? So hopefully now it's clearer and you can introduce some of those micro habits in your daily routine. Kimberley, you also wanted to mention resilience and how you built that.
Yeah, so one thing I want to cover, which plays a part in work-life balance, is resilience. So resilience is, I guess, the ability to recover quickly from difficulty. I think as business owners, we're always on, and it's often quite difficult to separate your work to your home life. I think we often find ourselves scrambling at like 100 miles an hour trying to get everything done. And then I think sometimes it's just like boom, and something goes terribly wrong, and we have a huge setback in our mindset. And I think the huge fluctuations we get off the back of that in our energy are quite draining, especially working from home. I think sometimes you can take the bad mood that comes with that back to your home life as well. So I'm just going to share a couple of examples of where I've personally felt set back in the setup of my business and I've had to show resilience. So the first one is when we actually received our first set of brushes. So we had a supplier and we'd sign off samples, and when the products were on the production line, we got given a picture of what they looked like. And on our children's toothbrushes, we have sea animals on them, and they're all affected by plastics in our oceans. So we've got them on our boxes, and we also have them on our brushes. I'm not too sure if you can see this, but what happened is we have pink seahorses and we have yellow crabs, and the brushes inside had the different or the opposite animal on. So commercially, we wouldn't have been able to sell a pink crab with a pink seahorse, sorry, with a pink crab inside. So we asked the supplier if they were able to remake the brushes in any way, and they had a solution of getting the brushes and almost shaving the old animal off and then re-engraving the new animal over the top, which we thought was like a brilliant idea because it means no stock goes to waste. So we'd set up the business, we'd set up the website, we'd set up the Instagram, we'd done a pre-order, and we were anticipating all of these brushes arriving. They got shipped by over from China, and it took about 8 weeks because China's where most of the bamboo forests are. And we were all raring to go and our mood was high. And when they arrived, we had this mythical creature on all of our toothbrushes that we like to call the horse crab. So we had the seahorse on the brushes, but in the back, you could still see the crab pincers. So that was like a huge setback for us, that we couldn't then sell these brushes, and we didn't really know what to do because we'd already started selling them to some of our customers. And that's something that we had to kind of overcome mentally and physically to keep going. And the second occasion of a big setback for me personally was when we launched on Ocado and received our first negative review. So I guess as a business owner, you take things like that very personally. And I was like, right, that's it. I'm throwing the towel in. I give up. I was thinking about it for a week, like weeks, and it affected kind of like my mood. And I'd spend like hours on Ocado going through other business reviews and kind of comparing myself to them. And it was when I stumbled across a review about a bag of onions. And it was a 2-star review, and I've written it down actually. Someone had left a review on a bag of onions saying, "Great value, but really small. They are round and oniony, which is all an onion needs to be, but they are pretty small." And it was at that point in time when I realized you just simply cannot please everyone.
No, that's fantastic. I think that is a fantastic example. Thank you so much for sharing it. I absolutely completely can relate into taking things very personally when it's your own business, right? It is your ideas and your baby. So absolutely fantastic to have that realization. And I can see a lot of comment in the chat room. So glad that you've mentioned that it is hard when you receive negativity. You do take it so personally. Good one. And yes, you cannot take things personally. So it really resonates with our attendees today. Thank you so much for sharing this, both of you. I said at the beginning that I was going to mention the Rose review, and Another key finding is that women are less likely than men to know other entrepreneurs or to have access to sponsors, mentors, or professional support networks. And that a lack of professional networks was perceived as a particularly important barrier by newer female entrepreneurs. So what I wanted to ask our panel today, and you, Michelle, is how can female entrepreneur have access to this network, and also how to make sure women from all different backgrounds, ethnicities, abilities, education, and areas have access to this network and are supported to start and run their businesses.
We're starting with me. I'm going to jump in.
Fantastic, thank you.
So it's interesting, actually. There is a difference. This is a massive generalization. Bear with me. There is a difference in how women network and how men network. Sometimes, broadly. And this idea of like, am I networking? This is how you network. Do I have a business card? Do I go and drink some warm Chardonnay at an event and let me tell you about my business? Some of these kind of old-fashioned tropes about networking are kind of a little bit outdated now. And one of the things that I find really interesting is that actually, if you look in the history of time, women haven't been entrepreneurs for very long. We've not been allowed to have bank accounts for that long, to be honest. And actually, one of the things I think is really exciting is that female entrepreneurs are kind of reinventing what it means to be an entrepreneur. And we see that a lot with our Ielsa community, but also reinventing what it means to network. Actually, this is just about connecting. It's about meeting people, having a chat, maybe just sharing experiences because that's quite reassuring too. That the onion anecdote, it still tickles me. It's quite oniony. But it can be reassuring just to hear other people's stories. It might not necessarily be about, let me tell you about my business, maybe I can sell something to you. But it might be about, do you know what, I'm just feeling a bit out of my depth today. I need someone to talk to, and actually just hearing your story is going to make me feel better. So this kind of like this kind of nuanced, different way of networking is developing over time, and actually I think it's really exciting. And why does everything have to be exactly the same? Of course it doesn't. And we've really seen over COVID, one of the great things actually is that, again, a massive generalization, but we have seen across the board that women are more likely to ask for support during COVID than men. I don't know whether it's that old-fashioned idea that women ask for directions when men won't ask for directions, I don't know. But women have tended to step up for support than men, which I think is really exciting. What we've seen a lot more of is more informal networking groups of women coming together to have a chat. I remember talking to a wonderful entrepreneur, Tony. She runs a business called Glamour Van. And when COVID hit last year, she moved fast. She's in a face-to-face events business. She really didn't have any choice. She's like, I need a new plan. She got a group of women together and they created an accountability group. So 9 o'clock every morning, they'd just jump on a Zoom. Zoom is an amazing tool for the 21st century of networking. They'd have jumped on and were like, what are you going to do today? Well, we're going to come back tomorrow and you tell us if you've done it, in a very gentle way, not like there will be a whipping if you haven't achieved what you've said to your accountability group, but creating these little networks that just gave them this incredible strength and incredible optimism to get through a really difficult period. Things like this, we're seeing it prop up more and more and more. So networking doesn't have to be a kind of a big formal thing, and your mentor doesn't have to be part of a big formal mentoring scheme. It might just be finding someone wonderful like Lorraine who's like, yeah, I do some mentoring. Oh, amazing, I want to talk to Lorraine. I saw someone on the chat. We all love Lorraine, she's amazing. And saying, yeah, let's have a chat, let's have a coffee. We do a lot of that via our campaigns, and I also campaign is this incredible network of women. We've been running twice monthly breakfast events during COVID. In the last year, really, COVID's not so like the whole of the last year. There were face-to-face before COVID, and now we've moved them all online. And it's about learning, it's about help and inspiration, but it's also about connection. It's about bringing your challenges and your thoughts and your experiences and your successes, and sharing them with a group of women who are incredibly supportive and incredibly bolstering. And that kind of is in part of all of our campaigns, actually, that we run. So I would always say to people, please come on, get involved, apply to be part of the Small Biz 100, get involved with F Entrepreneur, get involved with I Entrepreneur. You mentioned about inclusivity, actually, a campaign we launched last summer, I Entrepreneur, to celebrate founders from diverse backgrounds. And it's, again, it's an odd one, because I am, as you can see, quite white. And, I'm always a bit, can I really talk about this? And actually, it's not about me talking about it. It's about founders with a really diverse experience having the opportunity to access some of our tools, some of our channels to market, having opportunity to speak to government, having opportunity to get in the press. And we're thinking about how can we use our platform to give people more of an opportunity, and that's kind of really grown as well. We have a monthly event, people come together, sharing information, encouraging each other, bolstering each other, breaking down barriers, and I think so. You can come to us if you want, but you know what, there's loads of other stuff out there too. You don't have to come to us. Really finding other people. You could start with a 9 a.m. accountability group if you want. Just come on, bring your coffee. All right, what are we going to do this week? Or have a look for local organisations, local groups that are coming together. So much of it is online now. Facebook groups, there's a whole load of stuff going on over there. Enterprise Nation, they're pretty awesome as well. Another organisation that does this stuff. The one thing that I would say, though, and I think that I've seen so much really positive activity from female entrepreneurs on this over the last year. But whatever you do, just don't try and get through on your own. I mean, certainly being an entrepreneur is hard. It's hard work, and there are times when we've all been up at 2 a.m. going lots of F words, not Lorraine F words, and why? So there's always somebody out there who's been through that. There's always someone who's been through that first. Reach out and get the support. It is a really crappy time at the moment. We've been a long time in the situation that we're in, and there's so many people out there that want to help, that want to support. I see this incredible energy from female entrepreneurs that even when they're going through a really crappy time, they still want to be there for other people. I think it's amazing, and it's wonderful to see. So never feel like, well, I don't want to bother anyone, or you're really busy and you maybe don't have time for this, or other people have got their problems, they don't want to listen to mine. No, reach out, speak to people, get involved with our campaigns, or just reach out to anybody, have a chat, and really good things come out of it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Michelle. And I can see that some of you are posting on the chat, sharing the business details, so that you can connect with them. So post it on the chat if you want to connect with other female entrepreneurs that are here with us today. Lorraine, you also wanted to mention how to go and reach these communities and how important it is.
Yeah, I think it's really, really, thank you, Michelle, for what you said, because adding to that, I think it's really, really important that from a diverse perspective, that people coming up and people wanting to do things see people that look like them. And so the more that people of colour can go back into schools, can get platforms to speak, get opportunities to share what they're doing, coming from humbleness, coming from nothingness, and showing that they can actually achieve it, I think that's really, really encouraging, because there's nothing worse than younger people, the people that are sort of behind us, looking up and not seeing anybody on those platforms where they want to be. So then when you talk about, well, dream big, or you can be anything you want to be, you can be a racing driver, you can be a politician, but you don't see a racing driver, you don't see a politician, you don't see anybody that looks like you, how can you be? Now, thankfully, that is changing, but the more we do it, and for this community, the more that we can show up and make a difference in our schools, our communities, and push back, give back, just be present, so that people can see you and aspire to be like you and know that it is true. that can happen, I think that's where we as entrepreneurs make a difference.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fantastic, and it really resonates with our audience. Lavinia, sorry, I hope I say it right. Yes, representation matters 100%, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing this, Lorraine. Absolutely so important, and I can see all the reactions as well in the chat room. So thank you so much. We are very short on time. So Camille, I know you wanted to mention how children are more exposed to entrepreneurship as well now.
Yes, just very quickly. I think obviously I can see the panel, I can't see the audience, but when I was in school many moons ago, it was very much like, what career do you want to have, and go and work for someone. And I think now the shift is happening. So my 7-year-old at school do an enterprise program, which helps them understand running a business. And I do lots of mentoring in some of the colleges. There's something called Young Enterprise that you can get involved with. And it's about going into schools and educating them on what it's like to be a business owner, and helping them understand that business ownership and small business is a proper career path. And you don't have to just go work for someone else and do it that way.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Camille. Thank you so much. Fantastic thing to be looking forward to as well. More young women and men starting entrepreneurship. That's a fantastic thing to look forward to. To wrap up this conversation, and before we move on to the Q&A, I just wanted to ask all of you your top tip, and if we could just do it in one sentence so that we can actually cover some of the Q&A, that'd be fantastic. Lorraine, can you share your top tip with us?
Trust yourself and your superpower. You're enough. So that superpower will have been a voice that someone would have given you a word way back when. It could have been an uncle, an aunt, a boss, whoever. They said that you were good enough to do something. Trust that superpower. Trust yourself. You're enough.
Thank you, Lorraine. Kimberley.
So mine is kind of get on with it. I think as entrepreneurs, we strive to have perfection in absolutely everything we do, and getting involved in like all the tiny little things can take a lot of time and often stop you driving some of the bigger things. So yeah, that would be mine.
Fantastic. Camille.
Don't have a fear of failure. It's better to have tried and at least failed than it is not to have tried at all and live with regrets. So just try, because failures and things that happen that are failed, then when you fail, you learn from it, and then next time you learn and learn and learn.
Fantastic, thank you. And Michelle?
Get a mentor. Whatever stage you're at, even if you're just thinking about starting a business, just get a mentor. You won't find the first person you speak to probably won't be a perfect fit. So try a few people, drop a few people a line. You'll be amazed. People will definitely step up. So get a mentor.
Fantastic, thank you so much. I've actually just launched a poll to ask our attendees about which of the following would help them the most, and mentorship is one of them. So these are fantastic advice, and thank you all for sharing that with us today. Yes. Before we move on to the Q&A, and we only have a few minutes for that, I'm really sorry, but if you scroll up in the chat room, you can see all our panelists have shared the details if you wanted to reach out directly. I hope this is okay. Yes, before we move on to the Q&A, it's time for the raffle. If you have ordered a team card between Friday and last night, you have been entered in a prize draw. So I just wanted to quickly congratulate the 3 winners, who are Carl, Nikki, Paul. So please open your Tide app and check your in-app messages, because we have sent you a message to those 3 winners. Congratulations. So if you have any questions that you have put in the chat room, please do make sure you put in the Q&A so we can actually see it. The first one, totally inspirational. It's a privilege to hear your journeys. Okay, that's a great feedback. Thank you. We have one that says, I'm in the process of setting up my own business, first time. What help funding grants are available for me? Please, can you guide me? Michelle, do you want to take this one from Reshma? Maybe there is a website that you'd like to direct her to.
Yes. Grants, starting a business, startup loans, check out Startup Loans by British Business Bank. It's a brilliant scheme. It's specifically designed for people in the first few years of starting their business. Also check out what's going on locally. Look at your local growth hub and look at your local councils. They also have grants for new businesses too. That's a really quick answer to probably quite a big question, but hopefully that's a good start.
Perfect. Thank you, Michelle. I have a question. There is a question for Lorraine from Dalitso, who says, I'm currently looking for a business mentor and was wondering if she's currently taking on mentees.
I want to say yes. I'd love to have a conversation, because if I can't help, I can guide you to who can. So that's the first point. Reach out to me, have a conversation with me. I love to talk to people. I generally mentor people who are ready to go in property, who are, you know, they've got that thing inside them that's going, I'm ready. I hold your hand through that process. So, but do reach out to me. And if I can't help, I know a man or a woman who can.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Lorraine. There is actually another mentoring question, which is from Catherine, which asks, I love the idea of having a mentor, but have no idea how to find one. Do any of you have any advice? Thanks in advance. So Lorraine, they can reach out if they want to be
Absolutely. And I would say mentors come in all different sizes, shapes, packages, colors. Reach out to somebody who you respect, who you aspire to be like, who you love to be around greatness. So then reach out to somebody that you know and just have that conversation with them, because if they can't help you, they will know somebody who can.
I would say it was keep the ask light to begin with. Just grab a coffee, have a chat, and see where it goes from there. You know, I think if that, and also maybe try 4 or 5 people, I would say. But if you go in saying, you know, I would like a monthly meeting, I need this commitment from you. So yeah, go light.
And also people love to be asked, right? So, you know, somebody going, you want me to mentor you? So, you know, who knows? You can make somebody's day.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. I just wanted to go back to maybe take one last question. Sorry about, we are going to run out of time, but there is one that was about how to sorry, there's a lot of comments.
One's just come through about, are you expected to pay mentors? And I'd say no. I think if someone, I think mentors should never ask for money.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Actually, there is a new peer-to-peer mentoring program that's been launched by BEIS, which is the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy. Blah. So it's a long title. So if you have a look on gov.uk and look for peer-to-peer mentoring, you find more information about that on there as well.
Fantastic.
And just also very quickly on that, your local chamber of commerce, because there's a few questions, and actually like there's a person saying about networking and how nervous they are about and how do they do it. It's like if you go to your local chamber of commerce, they will really help. They have business leaders that do mentor. They usually, depending on how active their chamber is, the one in Brighton and Hove is super active. And also there's loads of tips and advice on networking. I am a networking queen. So if you are worried about networking, by all means connect with me, because you do a lot and I'm happy to share any advice. I call myself a networking whore. I thought queen was slightly softer than that on this message. But yes, I do a lot. So if anyone wants any tips and advice, I am literally here to give you the tips and advice on how to network properly.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all. We are coming to the end of this session, and I'm really sorry because I can see there's a few other questions. Hopefully we can you know, answer you later on or direct you to the right resources. But I wanted to thank you again, Lorraine, Kimberley, Camille, Michelle. Thank you so much for, you know, sharing your journey, sharing your advice with us today. There is a lot of feedback on the Q&A and the chat room about how inspirational and helpful this morning has been. I'm reading from Veronica. This morning has been so encouraging and uplifting, some great nuggets of inspiration. So thank you again so much. And thank you all to our attendees for joining us today. And we hope to see you all at our future events very soon. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.